Hi, hello, I'm Noxie, and welcome to Nox in a Box. Let's talk. I was thinking to myself why people like saying there are no coincidences. And mind you, I'm one of the persons that says there are no coincidences, but I could not really understand what that means. Like, I get the gist of it, that it's, you know, a repetition of things or a pattern of things cannot simply happen out of nowhere. But still, it was really not settling in. Why did I get this revelation of there being no coincidences as I was reading John chapter 5? I went back to the verses that stood out to me to try and trace my steps back as to how I got to the revelation of there being no coincidences. The verses that stood out for me in this chapter, it is John 5 verse 3. John 5 verse 3 reads, "In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water." So all sorts of disabled people hung around that pool. Verse 3 says there is a multitude of them. There's so many disabled people. But Jesus healed just this one. And it got me thinking too, when people experience things in their life, and whether good or bad, and they ask, why me? Like, why did this bad thing happen to me? Or like, what's so great about me that this good thing happened to me? So that's what arises from verse 3, is that of the so many, only one was chosen, or well, only one was healed by Jesus, as highlighted in this chapter. There was a time I went to a conference in the next town, and on my way back, it was evening. So usually late at night, there are no cars. There are very few cars on the road. But as I was approaching the traffic light, it was red. So I was approaching the traffic light, it was red. But as I approached it, right before I could slow down my speed, it turned green. And then the next robot was also green. The next traffic light was also green. And then the third one, it was green as well. And as I drove past, I realized, wow, all these three robots turned green for me, or they stayed green, or like basically I passed three robots and I did not have to wait or halt or slow down my speed. And in that moment, I just thought to myself, wow, God, like I felt so special. Like God is showing his love for me so publicly. Oh my goodness, I felt shy. And then later, I think throughout the week, I was like, because I was still thinking about it. I was like, oh man, like that can happen, like what are the chances that that really happens? Like I'm sure that happens. Like that's like, as I was passing, I remember that there was a car that was waiting. The robot had closed for them. Now that reminded me of verse 3, is that okay, it was just that one car, but on a normal day, at a normal time, it would be multiple cars. So they would be the multitude. They would be the multitude waiting. But that moment feels like I was the man that was healed, you know? Anyways. So that's how I got to thinking, why are there no coincidences? Why was that not a coincidence? And because I was confident in knowing that those robots did not just turn green out of nowhere. That's God, like saying, hey, get home so you get home, you know? But I wavered in my faith a bit and just thought, oh, I'm sure that can happen to anyone. I'm like, yeah, it can. But it's that it happened to me specifically in that moment. It was favor, it didn't get to the point. So these are my notes. Do not attack my handwriting. I am not an author. So these are the notes I wrote, that God is not a chancer. There are no coincidences. He is God of intention. Sounds like intention. What does intention mean? It means intended. There is an aim, there is a plan to why something is happening or why someone is doing something. Anyways. So for me to come to a conclusion that there are no coincidences, I have to understand what a coincidence is. According to the definition I found when I Googled this, a coincidence is a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. Yeah. A remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. The words concurrence and causal were highlighted in the definition. So then I was like, okay, they're like basically the base of the definition of coincidence. So let me get their definitions. Causal means relating to or acting as a cause. Okay, causal, relating to or acting as a cause. Okay. Now, concurrence. Concurrence means of two or more events or circumstances happening or existing at the same time. Concurrence means of two or more events or circumstances happening or existing at the same time. So I noted this, that it was a fact. So concurrence is a fact. In a way, it's like, meaning once two or more events happen at the same, once two or more events happen, that becomes a concurrence. Like that two or more make it a fact. So I have the definition for causal. I also have the definition for concurrence. Now I have to redefine coincidence. So the original definition of coincidence reads a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. Now I find a fitting for the definitions of the two words causal and concurrence to fit into the entire definition of coincidence. Coincidence, I found, came to read, there is no, so when I say there is no coincidence, what I'm saying is there is no remarkable fact of two or more events or circumstances happening or existing at the same time without apparent cause connection. I also had to look up apparent. I know the meaning of the word, but I just wanted to be sure in the definition, meaning clearly visible or understood or obvious, lunchbar. Cause connection, meaning for two or more events or circumstances happening and existing at the same time, that cannot happen without a connection. There has to be something that connects it. It's like having a pattern, a sequence of even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So a pattern in that is that you add 2 to the previous number to get the next number, and so on and so forth. So that cannot happen without a cause connection. And the cause connection in the sequence case is that you add 2. That is a cause connection. That cannot just be. Anyways. So in that definition, I found that when something happens, it happens for a reason. That reason is spiritual. Something or some things. So with this definition here, that of two or more events, that reminded me of the verse in the Bible that says, where two or more are gathered in his name, he is there. Like, okay, two or more. And then this sentence of explaining concurrence, that these circumstances happening or existing at the same time. And who exists everywhere, all the time, at the same time? It's God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, God 3 in 1. He is omnipresent. So that's how I saw Jesus in this definition. That's why there are no coincidences. I hope this made sense. So is that two or more events cannot happen at the same time and it simply be chance. So I take it when obviously when it's good, it's God, and when it's bad, it's also God, because he works all things together for our good. You know how in movies there will be instances where someone is preaching God, the good gospel, and the person will respond by saying, no, like, where was your God when this or that happened to me? And the answer is usually that God was there, God was with you, God, is always with you. Also got me thinking of the word concurrent. Current, meaning present, presently happening. It is happening now. I hope that made sense. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Okay, bye. And God bless.